I honestly do believe that a lot of this stuff is going to also be perpetuated by fear. So my quick question for you guys here, like I can already I can't tell what your answer is, but I can give a really good guess on what your answer is going to be. But do you guys really believe that the majority of the people that are out here that's wanting to push for this here, getting rid of the guns and all this good stuff, do you believe that they actually think in their head that it's actually going to save lives?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
What was that? I can hear you.
I was like, yes, I do, because I feel like a good portion of those people who are for banning guns are those same people that have either been a victim of a crime or know someone that has, right? So their thought process is the government's trying to ban guns. I would still have that person had that murderer not had a gun. So that's their thought process, and they don't think about, oh, well, if the government's trying to ban guns, they're just protecting me. So a lot of people are for the government. They're not against the government. They're not paranoid. They're not really opposed to a revolution of them trying to get rid of our rights. They're like, I feel safer by not having a gun, and by those people around me not being able to have a gun, when in reality, they don't realize that they're giving up their control to defend themselves, right? They're only focusing on the victimization of either themselves or the people around them. That's not their way of thinking to, ban guns in general, in my opinion. People think about it from a personal experience versus the bigger picture sort of thing, right? I don't think most people are actually capable of looking at things at a bigger spectrum, right? So they're just going to go based off of their experience. And that's most people's thought process, right? And then there's a small percentage of them that are just pushing that, again, because like my friend was saying, there's a disconnect in people coming over here and then having, their own experiences, and then, then you have agenda pushing part of the government or, politics or whatever. So in my mind, I don't think that, they believe that banning guns is a bad thing. I think that they think it's genuinely good and needed. And those are the people that probably didn't grow up in the neighborhoods where you needed that, or, they're the people, like you said, you wouldn't expect, so yeah, that's my thought process.
Go ahead. I think, even, to kind of piggyback on that, I'd even say that a lot of these people probably still too, I think some of that might also be a little bit projection, where if someone's not used to like a firearm or something like that, and they don't necessarily trust themselves with it, it makes it very easy. If you can't trust yourself with something, it makes it very easy to distrust someone else with something like that. And there are exceptions. I think that people kind of like put caveats on that, where they're just like, "Oh, well, I trust the police," and be that as it may. It's like I trust the police, I trust the military, I trust anyone that's sort of in like this sort of authoritative posture. But I don't think I could trust myself with it. And then a lot of people may project that onto the people. Say, well, if I can't trust myself, I certainly wouldn't trust my neighbor, who I think's an absolute asshole. Why would I want him to have a gun? And so I think it only gets exacerbated when you start to look at it from that perspective. Because I think a lot of people, like, even if you disengage from like, the political sort of things, the vast majority of people are not terribly political. Like they have a rudimentary political belief that I think that they've been kind of like spoon-fed. They don't terribly do a big deep dive, but they've got like a couple hot takes that they're like thinking about stuff where it's just like, oh yeah, well, this is how I feel about this is how I feel about that. And I think the firearms is one of those like, like lightning rod issues where I don't fundamentally think that it's like a political, question. I mean, it's turned into such, but I don't think it's a political question because, are you willing to sit there and accept the fact that I'm going to have to defend myself or defend my family or defend the people I care about? Am I willing to accept responsibility for that? The question is very simple. It's like yes or no. If I'm not willing to accept that, then it makes it very, very hard to say that, oh, well, I want other people to go ahead and go on the line to defend me, which raises a whole other slew of questions. And then on top of that, it's like, if I'm not willing to defend myself, am I also willing to put myself in a situation where if I enter an altercation with another individual who's also willing to defend themselves, I may be finding myself on the wrong end of it? And I think that's very key to that, where you look at it and it's like, yeah, if someone is not willing to defend themselves and they don't want others to defend themselves and they're wanting to rely on, like, say, like law enforcement or something to defend themselves, it's very, very easy to kind of hand wave away the need for firearms.
Well, you know what's funny about the waiting on law enforcement? They're always there in minutes when you need them in seconds.
Yeah.
But
that's always as the mantra goes. But I think that it's kind of gone wayward, where like a lot of people have kind of gotten divorced with like personal responsibility, and owning a firearm is a very, very big, personal responsibility. It's just saying that, like, look, like, if I carry this, I'm also willing to defend my life, to defend those around me, and to be incredibly judicious in this application of force.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't feel that they're responsible to do that.
So, going back off of what TJ said, and to piggyback off a little bit of what you said as well. While I do agree that some of these guys, or majority of guys that's not in any sort of political position, believe that they're helping people out, because if my personal opinion, if you're in a political position and you're advocating for going against firearms, there's a very ulterior motive, and I don't trust it worth shit. But if you're just the average Joe and you're going against firearms, you've just been misinformed. That's my personal opinion on it. All right. Like you said, Paul, ignorance is one of the big reasons why I feel as if a lot of people go against it. And what I mean by ignorance is how you said it beforehand, where they can't trust themselves with it because they never really want to expose themselves with it. Is one.
I mean, it's ignorance to both like the facts of the matter and also to how the world kind of works in a way. Because wouldn't it be great if like we never had to worry about having a gun?
No.
Like aside from shooting sports and stuff, I mean, what I'm saying is for the fundamental reasons that it's a right to be able to own a gun, for self-defense, for prevention of tyranny. Like, obviously, there's the shooting sports, it's fun, etc. Like, I'm just saying. But, like, as far as being able to live in a world that you didn't have to worry about defending yourself with it, everything was totally copacetic, everyone got along, there was no tyranny, like, that is the world that a lot of these people are backing themselves into.
Sort of, you know what you sound like right now? You sound like you just described communism on paper.
Okay.
That's literally what you described.
And I wouldn't say that, just let me get one last thing. Just to piggyback off, I was thinking exactly what you just said, which was that the vast majority of people aren't against it for some kind of malevolent reason. It's just that their ideas point them toward this idea of peaceful nature, or that they've seen it applied in an evil way, etc.
Okay, because you're talking about how getting rid of guns would give people the delusion of a more peaceful world or environment. To me, that's horseshit, because at the end of the day, let's say you do take away guns. One, people are going to get them illegally anyway.
Yeah.
Two, we're going to go back to the good old days where people would be like, see me with your hands and not how many bullets you about to fire at me. Like all these rappers do now. No one knows how to fight now. Everyone knows how to shoot a gun though, right? So that's what it would essentially revert back to. Okay.
Semantics.
Okay, so they'll put the gun first before their fist. How about that?
Yeah, they will do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to give people a false sense of security, yes, but I don't think they're going to immediately revert to, okay, guns are off the street now, so it's going to be peace. Yeah, nah.
Well, what I'm saying is that's the idea they have in their head. I wasn't saying that was the truth. I was just saying that that's a lot of how they're justifying their idea for
Well, I
if
think
we
you
could
can,
just ban all these guns, violence could go away. But I agree with you. I
No,
really agree with
yeah.
every word you just said.
Yeah, no, we get that. But no, back to what you said beforehand about how you think a lot of the guys or whatnot just had a negative experience with the firearms. Say, their uncle got shot and, oh, dang, if only they didn't have guns, he would still be alive and whatnot, right? I'm going to have to disagree on that just based off of, my upbringing. Like you said beforehand, this goes a lot off of experience and everything else like that, right?
Be careful, that's going to fly off your lap.
Oh, no.
Just like I did beforehand.
I can tell that's a mistake. Way back right there.
Cut. All right.
There we go.
All right.
But no, though, so...
I was going to say, I see that thing going sideways. Just like...
Yes. Just like
I was
last
on the
time.
razor's edge right there.
Spill another beer.
But
no, so the reason why I'm going to have to say that is because, like I said, the way that I grew up and everything else like that, I grew up around gangs. As I think everyone at this table knows, the houses I've lived in have been shot up. My uncle got shot in the head, got his face blown off by a shotgun. And literally what everyone within my family, within that neighborhood said was, well, fuck, you didn't shoot back?
Yeah, see, that comes from a different mentality. I was talking about those people who don't have that type of mentality.
Yeah.
Those people that are like, oh my God, someone just got shot. Call the cops because that's their job to deal with it, not mine.
But no, but this is in multiple areas though. So the one my uncle got shot in the face, that was in Alabama. When I was in New Jersey, sitting on the porch, house got shot up. And first thing they did, go get the gun so we could defend ourselves. It wasn't oh shit, if only these guys didn't have a gun. Again, different people, different area, different neighborhood. And that's just the way that it goes within these minority-filled, poverty-stricken, quote-unquote poverty because, reasons, areas.